Hi, good morning. Welcome to the Windsor Star News Cafe. I'm Don McArthur here with Dylan Kristy and our special guest, Bill Baker. He's an Essex councillor who's running for mayor.
I am.
Okay, so sum it up. You were here Saturday, so what's your pitch?
Basically, I guess we have to talk about experience first, and I think that's where we're looking at. The whole idea here is we've got a regionally significant municipality, which has 4 independent communities that have been amalgamated together with some great opportunities that we have to focus on. Each one has an independence to itself, but yet there's opportunities. So I look at Essex as really one set of financial books with 4 independent subsidiaries. And that's where we need to focus on. We've got some great economic opportunities. But we need the acumen and the drive and leadership to really focus on that. And that's where I come in from my background.
So Ron McDermott doesn't have that?
Ron McDermott is a great guy, absolutely nice guy, but his style of leadership has a different date to it than I think mine does, based on my background and experience. I guess I come from what I call as a full-rounded circle in terms of background. Started at Chrysler working on the line. Then from there took a few years off and went back to St. Clair College to take marketing and advertising. Was fortunate from there, like most of us do, we do a full circle and come back. I ended up going to Toronto and accepted a job with Global Watch Company. Within a year's time, I actually was Vice President of Marketing and Advertising and ran the Canadian division of Marketing and Advertising. So that gave me a lot of experience there. From there, I came back to Windsor and ended up fortunate to be a Director of Business Development for Windsor Airport. That was a great experience, 8 years with that. Some of the current services you see now in terms of WestJet and I brought in when I was there during that time. They've advanced quite a bit. Great looking airport now. After that, I worked in manufacturing with the Toldo Corporation, one of their firms, and then actually worked with in Mary Francis' first term as his policy and project advisor. So full circle. From there, started my own firm in terms of business development, strategic planning, and communications and public affairs, where I do projects with Leamington Hospital right now.
Excellent. Well, you mentioned you worked on the line in Chrysler. Was it a surprise then to see the Windsor Labour Council come out over the weekend with an endorsement for Mayor Ron McDermott?
Actually, no. Interestingly enough, I spoke to Dino Quixote yesterday, and the process is that it goes through their Labour Council, and Mayor McDermott, Ron McDermott, has very close ties with one of their local residents who is very strong. I think he's a secretary in the uniform, so that made sense that they did that. Of course, I think people have a perception because I have a significant business background that's not labor. But when they find out where I started from, I think, we've all started wherever we are, and you end up working hard. I say the harder I work, the luckier I get. So when they perceive me as business, I'm really pretty well rounded because I've got a background in public and private sector. Social services, I've been on the board of a number of different boards, the Children's Aid Society. I work on healthcare boards as well. So I've been involved, and when you see the fact that I'm well-rounded in that, that's what I have to tell people. So the fact that Ron McDermott was endorsed by them is understandable because of his ties with an individual. But the work I've done in the community, so Dino said, hey, Bill, just send me your stuff, and the stuff you've done in the community. He said, I know, and then we have the ability to look at that ourselves. So, it's about reaching out, I think, and then it's about perception too.
Okay. In terms of taxes in Essex, Dylan was telling me this morning that he sort of did his research that not a lot of businesses sort of break the bill. It's 80% residential. That must have some logistical considerations when you're doing stuff.
Yeah, and that's a significant part of this whole plan that I want to bring forward is that right now we operate on a roughly about a $35 million operating budget. There's an additional $10 million which is user pay, water, sewer rate. But of that $35 million, only $12.5 million comes from tax assessment. And of that, 80% is residential. That's a very fragile tax base. We have an opportunity to grow our industrial sector, industrial and commercial sector. We have available lands that really we need to look at rezoning for industrial sector. Those have been identified. We've had discussions already. I want to carry that forward. That's where my strengths are. My strengths are the lead and as a business development for our community. So I think those are things that haven't been done in the past that need to be done now. We're at a curve right now, a cusp in terms of growth in this sector. And I believe that Essex itself, Essex Centre, is positioned geographically for some opportunity. We've already done this in Harrow, where I was actively and worked with a new company that we brought in, EnerQuest Services. Built a new 72,000 square foot plant, 80 new employees, good paying manufacturing jobs. We created quite a supply chain there with Atlas II, we have Celix, we have Refrac, and a number of other manufacturing firms, which we're employing probably about 650 people. We have other opportunity there for some more industrial land development. Having said that, we also have an emerging sector, as you know, in the wine sector. Harrow has an opportunity right now. There are some brand names that are coming to Harrow. We've obviously got a Tim Hortons. Shoppers Drug Mart is expanding there. But I've been in discussion with the wineries and with what I call the big six business owners who employ a lot of people, and looking at the opportunity for hotel. We're in the first stage of doing an analysis for that, for Harrow. The idea there is that there's no question that the wine sector will be able to support that. It's about the midweek and it's about the off-season, and that's where the businesses come in. I've spoke to them, and they've done a survey, and on any case, they're looking at maybe anywhere from 60 to 150 people they bring in through their supply chain, salespeople, etc. That provides an opportunity to grow that sector. So those businesses could use a hotel for their own association development. There's workshop chapters, things like that. You already have the tourism element built there. In addition to that, we've got what's called the countywide transportation system. We're a big champion in that. Well, myself and one of my colleagues on council really champion that movement, whereby we contribute to this plan 60% and 40% from the county to develop County Road 50 and some of the connecting lanes that will go all the way up to the Greenway and eventually connect all the way to Windsor. So that's a huge tourism draw.
Sure. What about regional transit buses? Like, you got to drive if you want to get to Essex now. Do you want to help foot the bill so people in Essex can get to Oldcastle or to get to Windsor to work?
You know, that's an interesting question, and here's the comment on that. Anytime we can have a discussion for some regionalization services, we should enter in that conversation. One of the key enablers to prosperity coming out, out of a situation is transportation. We find, because of my work in the healthcare sector, doing stuff with the community, that's the number one thing, is if you have transportation, you can get to school. You can get to your job where that might be, because you may not be located there. So regional transportation is certainly an enabler for that. Now, the question comes down to, what's the model, right? How do we build a model? Do we have something that's current already? Do we build onto that? Is it a spoken hub system? And does it start with a combination of the private and public sector? You asked the question, do we foot the bill? Well, do we foot the bill for prosperity, for lack of prosperity? We certainly do now, right? So if we can find any enablers that help us, I think that's where we go. First thing is, let's enter into the conversation. That starts right now.
Okay, how about regional policing? Are you happy with what you got, or?
Again, it's on the same conversation. The first thing is the cost factors, right? Again, I'm in favor of sitting down and having the conversation. Mm-hmm. Anything that looks at regional opportunities where there are efficiencies. That's the key, right? The fact that we now have a new OPP policing formula, we're just going through the analysis right now as to how much money that may or may not save us. We think there's going to be a savings there. So let's look at that first. But the discussion of regionalization of police force, you certainly should come down the road, or even soon, of talk, because we all have life cycle capital to look at. We've got buildings and whatnot that may be old. So there may be that opportunity now that we do look at this. So I'm always open for any conversation. That's really what collaboration is all about. That's being able to sit at the table, have a seat at the table with your county partners and with all levels of government.
Excellent. All right, and let's just end with, on your website, you talk about putting the town of Essex on the map, but when you have friends come from out of town or people who may not have been to the area, where do you send them? What do you recommend? Absolutely.
That's a huge issue that's been around for a while, and that's one that I really want to tackle. Putting us on the map is a literal conversation, but it's real. We have, because of our amalgamation, and we're not the only community, too. Nowadays, you go on your GPS and we've got 3 Victoria Streets, we've got 2 Isler Streets, and they send you to Essex and they're going all over the place. It's hurting our tourism, it's hurting our business delivery system too, because we have an emerging sector along County Road 50 and micro businesses, and they're not able to get their stuff. We need to fix that. We need to fix that for regionalization, for tourism as well.
So there's 3 Victoria Streets in Essex right
Absolutely.
now?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been caught with the Isler
Lane
issue
and
too. I remember going out to Isler Road and ending up on near the water. Right near John R. Park Homestead, right? It doesn't stretch way out there?
And I realized it even more so knocking on the doors and people calling me saying, Bill, we'd like you to put a sign up here. I'm on Victoria Street. I get out to Victoria Street and I go, wait a minute, there's no address here. I call up, they said, well, no, in Essex. Oh, okay, great. Well, we are Essex, but here's the point, right? Yeah. So getting on the map is really, really significant for our growth as well.
Excellent. No, that's great.
Okay, Bill, anything else you want to add before we wrap it up here?
Yeah, just, you know what, this is a short conversation, and I think the fact that looking a little further, go to billbakerformayor.com. That's billbakerformayor.com. I have all my 6-point plan there. I have all my media coverage, which this will be on it too, I hope. And take a look, take some time. It's really important. What you have now is you have choice. We've never had choice before. You've got a good choice to make here. And this choice is going to be important to move our community forward. And again, everybody who is putting their name in is in this for the right reason, but you have to make the choice on who can lead this community forward. Thank you.
Okay, Bill, thanks for making the drive to the Windsor Star News Cafe.
Thank you very much.